Man, you really have you certainly see a bigger global picture on all the different infrastructure. And I'm kind of curious, what is your overall view of the industry? Feel like it's growing and robust? I mean, how do you, I know recently you have advised, construction firms. You have a lot of access to these folks. I mean, what are some of the things you're hearing about the maybe optimism in the industry? I mean, what are you hearing?
Well, I think one of the opportunities that folks are looking at and wondering if we can bring back to the table is the public-private partnership. I think there's opportunities to create some big projects
Mhm.
in California, using a P3 model. There's a great example of, this of climate policy and infrastructure and traffic relief all coming together on the Highway 37 project,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
In the north end of the bay.
yeah.
They're working on some sort of phase one fixes, but the longer term vision of that project would be an elevated toll bridge.
Whole facility.
And that would be a great way to improve traffic flow,
Yeah.
and then still allow the estuary to flow freely between the bay, and it could
That would
make
be
a
one heck of a
long-term solution.
viaduct, man. That's one heck of a
Yes.
project.
Would it be similar like the Yolo Causeway?
Right, right. For
Right.
miles and miles.
Yeah. Well, Yolo Causeway goes miles.
Yeah.
It's 14 miles, but not all of it would have to be elevated, but
Mhm.
definitely a section would be. And I think there's just another opportunity for that to you know
Yeah.
become more climate resilient, better for the environment. And you look at that project, as having, again, a tremendous impact on, thousands and thousands of daily commuters who are stuck in that project. Structural congestion, right? Like
My
there's,
dad drove that for years into the Bay Area.
yeah,
So I'm very familiar with that area.
yeah. Well, if we could figure out a way to bring some relief, to those people who are using that as a daily commute, and that would be a great improvement to their quality of life, and give them more time at home with their family, and
Right.
less stressful the day-to-day life, right? So those are some of the long-term the benefits of good infrastructure to the user, come in many ways, and it's not just in mobility, which is also a primary benefit.
Yeah, we all love mobility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I know that. Yeah, I've driven that road many times. Skaggs Island out there for sure.
Mhm.
Well, I under the Biden administration, California was a huge winner. I mean, I think at one point I was at a CTC meeting. They were like, "Yeah, we got like 300 grants in the pipeline,"
Mhm.
and the bipartisan infrastructure law, or the Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act, whatever you want to call
Mhm.
it, major boosts into nationwide infrastructure.
Mhm.
I mean, 30% or more. And I see reports about like nationwide, the number of projects being bid are up, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you kind of deal in the world of like man hours, right? Like workers who are on the job,
Mhm.
putting in the time. Are you seeing big increases in man hours and membership and things
Yeah.
like that?
Well, I would say that, the construction industry continues to be a strong, performing economic sector,
Mhm.
and that's definitely reflected in the levels of employment, and
Yeah.
there are definitely openings for, people who would like to go through an apprenticeship program, and, they're accepting people every day and looking for more,
Yeah.
and so not everyone finds they're ready for a career in construction industry, right? It's not for everyone, but for the type of people who, have those values. And I used to work in the construction industry, right? That's part of why I'm honored to be here in this role. Is like I can relate to what that life was like, and wearing a hard hat and tool belt and going on a job site, and that became part of how I envision, like how the infrastructure, and how if you had to wait in Highway 37 traffic and you're trying to get to your job, and just how that would how it just sets your whole day off in a negative direction.
Yeah.
And I think we can make investments in public infrastructure that change people's lives that way for the better.